Hey, good morning. This is Jared and Nate with eCarrierCheck, and we are live, and it's Friday. Nate, what's going on, man? How was your week? Tell me all about it.
It was a great week, man. Demos coming in hot. I love it. People trying to grow their business. It's been a good week, though. Beta testing the new site, so it's been a good week.
It has been a good week. I had the opportunity to work with brokerage on some cold calls this week, and
love that.
One of the brokers, no kidding, 2 weeks in, and was making some calls.
Wow.
And it's interesting to make calls no matter who or where or what you're doing, right? But it's definitely interesting to make calls with that mentality of going, man, I just need to try it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And he kind of walked this line of being vulnerable, being scared, being excited. And I think he did a great job.
That's awesome. He kind of just ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. Just
kind of a fun thing. I see. I follow Chris Jolly on LinkedIn. I know you do too. He mentioned about anxiety, and he said, I think more or less to just kind of just do it to help you kind of get over that anxiety.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. 2 weeks in, make some calls.
It was really interesting. I had the opportunity to give him some feedback. Some of the basic feedback that I mentioned, especially as people are just making calls, right? Because today we're making cold calls, and I get the opportunity to call a handful of people here, and we'll get into that here in just a few. But the first thing was just slowing down.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you get nervous, you ramble.
Yeah.
You just kind of keep going. I suppose maybe it's the first date syndrome.
Yeah, and I can back that up too. And I was that same way. But I think as you start, making calls and actually doing it, and then you understand, you hear that feedback. So it's always good to kind of get feedback. Yeah. Nothing personal.
Yeah, he just kept rambling. Once we slowed him down, once we, made things, I wouldn't say that I'm not a silver tongue salesman here, right? I just understand tone.
Yep.
I sound friendly, right? I understand when to pause. It's just a basic function of communicating, right? And then I understand how to ask questions to try to get out of, those people what they need.
Right.
So the other thing that I think was really interesting is, his mentality versus most. Okay, this guy is a former athlete, played in college. He was a wrestler in college, so kind of has that mindset that you need. But he also has sort of a you hear that mentality of being a goldfish. You could tell he wasn't taking anything personal.
Yeah.
He was looking for feedback as much as he could.
Awesome.
And when calls didn't go the way he wanted to do, he just kind of forget it and just kept going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You have to.
It's not personal.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really interesting. Good morning. Thanks for watching. We really love having you guys on and just trying to help you guys grow your business. And we're doing cold calls today. We're kind of breaking down some cold calls I had the opportunity to talk with, but we do thank you for being on.
Yeah.
So much. In fact, I would challenge you guys to do something that I mentioned to him this week is record yourself making calls. And for anyone that wants to do this, honestly, record yourself making a call, send it in to Nate and I. We would love to help you, guide you in a way to go, yeah, wait a minute, here's what I would have done. This is a really nice job. Here's what I would have changed.
Yeah, calls, emails, texts, whatever it is. Definitely, we love to kind of see and just give our input.
Yeah. So I'm reading a book right now by James Clear. It's called Atomic Habits. Truly one of the most inspiring books. I think I've mentioned it a couple times. I'm rereading it again, just because
you catch something different.
Let's get something. And I love this quote. I gotta tell you this quote because I want to break this down real quick.
Okay.
It's hard to change a habit if you haven't addressed the beliefs of what you're doing. Boom. How many of you everybody self-talks, I suck at cold calling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You don't believe in what you're doing. And you're never going to get better until you address that. He also, and I didn't write this one down, but I can kind of fumble through it. He talks about, picking a weed in your yard. If you just go and grab the thing and you don't address the root, it's going to come back. Right. So I really think it's important that you start to, and we talk about mental health a lot. how important is it to talk? Self-talk is so big. Quit saying, I suck at cold calls.
Right. Huge. It's huge. I mean, I'm the first kind of, to mention that. It's not, it's just a bad day, not a bad life, right? That's something I try to tell myself. But positive talk really is huge. With that guy you were just talking about earlier, I'm sure after his calls, he understood, hey, I'm going to get better.
Yeah.
We all have to start somewhere. Unfortunately, you just got to start at the bottom, work your way up. It's kind of how life works.
Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day for some advice on how to get better at cold calls. Number one is recording them. But he said that he just struggles just picking up the phone. More so, he gets anxiety. He feels scared. He's worried about what they're going to say. He's worried he may not have anything to say. And again, I like to say that it's really simple. You're having a conversation. It's not a cold call. You're not bothering them.
Right.
In my opinion, we offer a service in this industry that people need.
Right.
How do you move your freight? And it's that simple.
And it goes back to something you kind of mentioned to me too. Ask yourself, what is your why? Before you pick up that phone, maybe ask yourself that why. When we went and when I went with you to visit that brokerage a couple of weeks ago, I was looking at their phones and it said, pick me up, I'll make you money. So it was a different thing for me to see that gives them motivation.
Yeah.
What's your why? I'll pick this thing up, we can make you money.
I love that.
So
I love that.
A little bit of something I noticed.
I want you guys to definitely talk nice to yourself, believe in yourself, because I truly believe that you can't start a habit or begin a habit or change a habit without believing in yourself.
Totally agree.
So self-doubt can be a form of self-fulfilling prophecy. Boy, you got it right on the head. Sure. You got it right on the head. So the other thing I want to talk about is who I'm calling today. Okay.
And you found these leads off eCarrierCheck.
Yeah. Too, right? So this is an interesting point. Is I'm also a big believer, if you're a freight broker or a carrier or a dispatcher, really find a niche. You always hear people just saying, hey, I'll do anything, I'll haul for anybody. I always hear people say this too, well, I'm just looking for dedicated routes. Right. And sometimes you have to build up trust in some of the transactional stuff in that relationship in order to get to those dedicated routes. Right. I've been doing freight. Specifically, I was a freight broker from 17 until we started eCarrierCheck. And to find dedicated routes, it takes a lot more
time,
a lot more trust. You have to find the right clients that need that side of things. A lot of clients are just used to transactional, business. And I totally get it. I'd rather, thank you. I appreciate that. The beard is coming in nice. I'm excited about it. Wait till we do our St. Patty's Day special. That should be entertaining. But I'm a big believer that you've got to, well, I don't even know. I just lost my train of thought. Son of a bitch. Well, that happens. But here's the thing. I want to talk to you about, it's finding a niche. You really have to find a niche. Sorry, I got caught up on my green beard that's coming. But you got to find a niche, right? So don't just call willy-nilly and everybody. Find something that matches what kind of equipment. I don't know if Tire Killer's watching today, but he has a piece of equipment that he has to find shippers for.
Exactly.
Right? He has to find brokers for that specific type of equipment. And he also knows where the heck he wants to travel.
Exactly. He knows his cost.
He knows his cost. He doesn't want to go to Texas, or maybe he doesn't want to go to Florida. He wants to stay in 3 or 4 different zones, and that's it. You know what I mean? Same with freight brokering. You need to look for a niche. And the niche, I was talking to a broker and he said, hey, here's what I'm looking for. And I said, well, perfect. He specifically focuses on being extremely busy between March 1st and October 1st with contractors. He said, I move a lot of material. I'm always doing job site deliveries. There's a lot of frustration to job site deliveries. Maybe it's poor communication. Maybe it's, really bad parking. Maybe the truck doesn't fit in there right. Or maybe the truck sinks because they just rained the last 3 days and now it's a friggin' pool. Right. So what I'm calling for today is specifically brick. Okay. So what I did is I got on eCarrierCheck. I literally just typed in the word brick up in the smart bar, and that took me to every single shipper that we saw or that we see in our system, which is an incredible system because guess what? It's going to give you leads that are really direct to the industries you're looking for, to the equipment you need, and the region that you want. Right. So I typed in the word brick. I've got 6 people here that 3 are in Texas, 1's in Ohio, 2 are in North Carolina. You know, the other thing real quick, and just from just a general observation of being in the industry, let's say that I started calling steel and lumber companies. Okay. There's nothing wrong with, good morning, thanks for being on. There's nothing wrong with steel and lumber companies per se, but boy, you can get into some that are so transactional. The freight goes out to 20 brokers, 100 carriers, and it's this weird bidding war. I wouldn't necessarily live in that space if I were you. I would try to be more, let's find a boutique lumber yard. Let's find 5 or 6 different steel companies that maybe do something specific in the steel industry. Right. You know, and I'll give you an example. Instead of, starting at the top of the supply chain with rolls of steel, why don't we find a company that makes steel buildings?
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So instead of finding those guys that are just ripping 2x4s and making plywood all day, find the guy that does something with it and then sends it out. Right. Just try to find the next niche. So
I like that.
In our particular case today, what we did is I looked for brick, and then I really tried to avoid some of the huge brick companies. Right. I'm going to guess that these guys get plastered with phone calls all day. So I'm kind of excited to hear. There's probably going to be some tonality that we're going to hear that we don't accept new brokers. We're not looking for new brokers. There's definitely a way around of communicating with people. I'm not necessarily going to just try to fight my way in. I don't know if a relationship is really good if you fight your way in.
Right. Kind of unhealthy.
Or manipulate your way in. I suppose we could do that, I guess, and see how it goes. But that's where I'm at. So I'm going to start calling some of these people. I'm super jacked for this. I love making calls. Again, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. I'm going to ask for somebody that, hey, can I get somebody that's moving your freight, that's responsible for moving your freight?
Simple as that.
Maybe there's somebody in shipping. Right. But I think if I say the first one, hey, I'm just looking for somebody that's responsible for moving your freight, I might get a different person than Daryl on the dock. Nothing wrong with Daryl on the dock. Just, you see where I'm going with that. So let's call Metro Brick. Let's see where this goes. I'm super jacked for some of these calls. And
while you're dialing that phone number, for those of you that are interested to see how we found these leads, we also have leads to freight brokers, carriers, and these shippers that we're going to be calling today. So there's a banner at the bottom of the screen, eCarrierCheck.com. Go ahead and schedule yourself a demo, and what we'll do is just send you a recorded demo, and I'll get in touch with you and see how you liked it. If you had any questions, if you want to get together, one-on-one via Zoom, I'm willing to do that. So definitely check us out.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Here we go.
Good morning, Metro Brick.
Hey, this is Jared over Nebraska Transport. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, sir?
It's good. It's Friday.
Man, we were almost there.
Exactly. Hey, we're a trucking transportation company up in Nebraska, and we seem to be getting more and more into Texas. I was hoping I could talk to somebody that maybe manages your freight.
Yeah, let me shoot you over to dispatch.
Am I asking for anyone specific?
There's 2 or 3 ladies in the office that kind of share it. I believe the best person for you to talk to is going to be Gabby, and so that's who I'm sending you to. I believe she still handles most of our inbound.
That's awesome.
But like I say, they kind of share it around, so they may still redirect you again, and they do stay pretty loaded. This is our main dispatch office, so if you get a voicemail, please do leave a message.
Okay,
she will get back to you.
Yeah, that's great, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. We appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Have a great day and a good weekend.
All right, you too. Take care.
Thanks, brother.
He seemed friendly.
He had good energy.
He did have good energy. You could feel
Your
it.
call
too.
is being transferred.
All right, here we go.
Hey, this is Gabby. I'm probably away from the office or away from my desk. Leave me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
To dial another extension, press 1. To leave a voicemail, press 2, or simply stay on the line. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey, Gabby, this is Jared Ross with Nebraska Transport. Hey, the reason for the call is we're out of Nebraska, obviously, but the big thing is just we got open decks that are flatbeds and steps that are down in the Texas area, and like looking to see if you might have something that we can help with. If you could give me a call, the phone number is 308-631-2543. That's my cell. I appreciate your time. Thanks. All right. Well, good call. You got through the gatekeeper with these. Yeah. You could feel, I think you could feel the tone in his voice.
It was right away too.
Right? You could just feel the tone. He was excited to be at work, which I loved. Sometimes I'm going to guess that here as we go, we'll find somebody that's not happy.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
But we may as well, let's just keep the party started or keep going here.
Yeah.
So let's see where this next one goes. Also Texas, East Texas brick. So let's see where this goes here. I think something else too. You know what I love about making calls on Friday is, that feeling you get. We're Monday through Friday people. Now we do work on weekends occasionally, but for the most part, we're Monday through Friday. There's a different feeling about yourself about Friday. It's almost like you got to the light, you got to the end of the week.
Yeah.
You have a better feeling. You have a better, earlier I asked you, what were you up to? And you said, I need to go get mentally prepared for the call. And so much of this is just mental preparation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is. You just got to be ready. If you want, you move around, just get your blood flowing, because motion creates emotion.
Yes.
And I'm a true believer in that.
Heck yeah.
All right, let's keep cooking. We're to keep dialing.
Yeah, Victoria, that was a good start to the call. I was hoping to get in touch with that shipper though.
That would have been epic if we'd have talked to her.
To Gabby, yep.
That's all right. Here we go.
Thank you for calling East Texas Brick. Some of our phone options have changed. Please listen to all options before choosing. Please visit our website, etbrick.com, for further information. For store hours and store address, and for delivery hours and delivery address, please press 1.
Okay.
For dispatch and brick and stone delivery status, please press 2.
Maybe.
For brick, masonry, and fireplace sales and service, please press option 3.
Okay.
For patio and flooring, please press 4. For accounting, press option 5. Otherwise, press 0 for any other inquiries you might have. Thank you for calling East Texas Brick.
I'll tell you why here in a second.
Please stay on the line while your call is transferred to the operator.
Man, I'm just plowing through the coffee.
Yeah.
Good morning, East Texas Brick.
Hey, this is Jared over at Nebraska Transport. How are you?
Doing all right. How can I help you?
Hey, I was hoping I could talk to somebody that manages moving freight around for you. I got a couple trucks out of Nebraska that I'm trying to move.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get you over there.
Yeah, who am I talking to, if you don't mind?
It's our operations manager, Steve Bickerdike, and if he doesn't answer, just leave him a voicemail.
Awesome. Thank you. What was your name?
My name is Heather.
Heather, nice to meet you. I appreciate your time.
No problem.
She was a little shorter, but I matched the tone when she answered. I wasn't all friggin' bright and shiny. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
It's okay.
Steve Bickerdike
Is not available. At the tone, please record your
Did you hear how
message.
slow
When
he
you've
was
finished
on
recording,
that
you may hang
introduction?
up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Hey, Steve, this is Jared over at Nebraska Transport. Hey, we got to get a couple open deck trailers coming down your way next week, actually, and just looking to see how you may be moving your freight around. One's a flat, one's a step. But if you have a moment, call my cell back, 308-631-2543. Would like to chat with you in regards to how you find your trucks. Thanks. Bye. All right. So I tried to match his tone. I tried to slow down a little bit when that gal answered.
Mhm.
You know, you just need to chameleon yourself to whomever you're talking to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So if they're talking fast, I'm talking fast. If they're cussing, I'm cussing. And I love to cuss.
Yeah.
But,
That's
you know,
right.
you just have to, you've got to match and mimic and mirror.
Yeah.
You know, when I used to do outside sales, this is kind of random, but I would actually mimic and try to mirror their breathing even. Now that's sick, right?
Yeah.
But then I could kind of flow with them better. Does that make sense?
Right.
It's just something interesting to try to accomplish.
Right.
So,
right.
Definitely an interesting. I think we had 100 leads of bricks.
Yeah.
When I looked up the word brick in our system, we had 100 leads.
Okay.
And you know, my goal was I didn't want to find the biggest, because the bigger the fish, the longer this process takes.
Yeah.
You know, if we were going to talk about process after the fact, yes, I'm making cold calls. We're doing this right now together. But what's next? What happens after this call? Now, I'm going to guess. I'd bet between the two calls, I just left 2 voicemails. I bet either A, I don't get a call back at all, or maybe I only get 1. Right? So I'm going to have to set a reminder, right? You'd be out of breath. Boy, don't try that tactic, Shaggy. You'd be out of breath. Boy, that's the truth right there. I don't know if Shaggy's watching, but I love that guy. It kills me. But, you know, I'm going to have to set a reminder or a task, right, to follow back up.
Right.
And next time what my goal will be, because I think you should have goals each time. Okay. Yeah. I'm just trying to give you some strategy in my mind. Is this morning strategy is, if I can get straight to the person that needs to talk, perfect. If I can't, guess what? My second call, I'm way more loaded now, because I'm going to call Metro Brick back. And I'm going to be, hey, is Gabby in by chance? I'm just trying to touch base with her.
Yeah.
Man, do I sound way better than I'm looking for a guy for freight.
Yeah.
So there's number 2, right? So depending on how that call goes, if I leave a voicemail, the goal for number 2 is, okay, I didn't get her to answer the phone this time. I'm going to call back and I'm going to say, hey, I just need to get a hold of Gabby. Can I grab her email? It seems like I'm struggling getting a hold of her on the phone. Yeah. Goal number 2 is I got goal number 1. I got her phone name. Goal number 2, I'm getting her email. Goal number 3, so on and so forth. A majority of the clients that we got when I was at the brokerage, 6, 7, 8 calls.
Right.
It didn't happen on the first one.
Right. And you're constantly updating your pipeline, you know, make that Excel sheet, update yourself, and kind of, you know, pick up where you left off.
Yeah. So Raji asked probably one of the more interesting questions. Hey, did you choose the operator on the last call? This is probably one of my favorite things that I chose to do differently. Okay. Number 1 is, if you are just starting out, okay, and they say press 3 for shipping, which they kind of did on that call.
Yep.
You're going to end up talking to literally the guy that's scheduling like trucks out. Nothing wrong with that guy at all.
Right.
But when I went through 0, guess who I got transferred to?
To the
operations manager.
Exactly.
Right. So I got straight to the guy that can make decisions, that can add me as a carrier. Boom. Right.
Right.
So I think it's really important that you may try both. Sometimes a cold call takes multiple calls. Like, honestly, if nobody would have answered at the operator, I'd have called back and done the shipping.
Right.
To see who I need to talk to in that way.
Right.
It's almost like a choose your own adventure in a flowchart manner, like an engineer. You know, hey, I'm going to make the call. Here's what's going to happen.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
If this happens, here's who I'm talking
Yeah.
to. If this happens, here's who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Right. So that I'm constantly just following the flowchart. You know, I need to talk to whoever can set me up. I need to talk to, you know, potentially, and we'll see if somebody can, if I have the opportunity to talk to somebody. I hope I do. I got 4 more calls. You know, I want to talk about potentially rates, but more so, what requirements do you need as a broker to get set up?
Right.
things like that,
Yeah.
right? What are your challenges right now? I'm sure you got some brokers that are just struggling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I love that.
that's why I'm glad you reminded me to talk about that.
For sure.
So
Thank you.
so that was a strategy there. All right, let's keep going. All right, next one, still Texas. This one is more. They're a distributor of a manufacturer of bricks, but they manufacture the bricks down in Mexico. Then they get them up to Eagle Pass. This is the distributor that takes them from Eagle Pass to America.
Okay.
So we're flip flopping a little bit of distribution model, but let's see what happens here.
How many calls do you make a day? We try to do live calls, when we can on Fridays.
Yeah.
We usually have guests on Fridays, like Shaggy, Charles, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
and as a freight broker, here's what I did, Tamika. As a freight broker, I would schedule time to do two things. Okay. The first one is let's do some research. Let's try to understand an eCarrierCheck. Here's something I love about eCarrierCheck is we show you where they're shipping freight to, where they're shipping the freight to, right? Or where they're getting it from. We see all this, right? So usually what I would do, and I think this is really important that you schedule, no different than when you're talking about positive self-talk, you need to schedule time with yourself to do these calls.
Mm-hmm.
How do you set a habit? Schedule time.
Right. And then you can help yourself get in that mindset.
Exactly. So
that's fair.
First day, we always try to let's do some research. Let's look these people up. That research can be two different things. Number one, it can just be, let's find some people. Let's find a phone number. Let's look at their network. Let's understand their network. eCarrierCheck tells you what kind of equipment they're using.
Right.
We tell you where they're shipping to. We tell you if they're using teams. We tell you how safe the carriers are. And what our goal with all that is to prepare you for a phone call conversation so that you can ask very pointed questions. Right. So I was always a big believer in, to get back to your question. Okay. How many calls do you make a day?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was 10. I always liked 10 cold calls. If you do 10 cold calls Monday through Friday, every single day for 30 days, or I guess there's 23 working days in a month.
Mm-hmm.
You just blew out 230 cold calls.
Right. And I even know of a brokerage that every Wednesday they get together for a couple hours they're around this big table and they all make calls going around. They give feedback to each other. So that's kind of cool. What kind of follow-up would you do if you keep getting voicemail or no emails back? Weekly, monthly? That's a good question.
Yeah. When does professional persistence turn into a little bit creepy? Right?
We can get creepy. Yeah.
Oh, you can get creepy. I think that's an interesting question. Okay. For me, let's talk through a couple things that happened at that brokerage this week. Okay. The new broker, he made a few calls. He got a couple voicemails, but he did get one lady that said, you know what, today's not a great day. Can you call me back next week? Okay. Mm-hmm. He also got one where they just weren't fully interested. Right. At the end of the day, we're trying to build trust and we're trying to be more valuable than their current provider.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. So, the question on the table is, what kind of follow-up would you do if you keep getting voicemail or no emails back? Find another way to add value to them. And what I mean by that is change up your voicemail message, change up your email message, and try to provide value to them. Yeah. So the same things that we're all fighting with on a day-to-day basis, maybe it's double brokering, maybe it's late trucks, maybe it's trucks broke down, right? Mm-hmm. If you're having those issues, they're having those issues. Right? Yeah. So how do you provide value? You change your email and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about a trend I'm seeing with double brokers within your area. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to see if you have 10 minutes this week where we could sit down and talk about those trends and see if any of that information would help you with how you find your carriers. Right. Boom. Yeah. I know that was a mouthful, but it sounded friggin' great. Right. So that's going to get you a meeting. Right. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid. I would do one of two things. Okay. The first thing is I would always make sure that you're leaving keyword indicators in your messages in both ways. And let me explain what I mean by that. When you drive up to a house, okay, you drive up to a house and their brick is the same on the house as it is on the extended car garage that's detached. There's some you're like, whoa, look at the synergy there. right?
Yeah.
You do that same thing in your voicemails and your emails. Always leave keyword indicators in those voicemails and emails, right? And what I mean by that is, something that's unique about us. We're from Nebraska. We love Huskers. We love, anything about that. It's a little more unique than normal. Not everyone's from Nebraska.
Right.
I don't blame you. Man, the weather's terrible here. But, I like to say, hey, we're the carrier from Nebraska. Maybe there's something unique about what you're doing and saying, hey, I fully focus on anything out of Glendale, California.
Right.
Mix it up, but match your email to your voicemail and put that in the subject line.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you can put that in the subject line, they'll start to remember you.
Right.
They'll start to go, okay, I'm going to give this guy 10 minutes and ask for 10 minutes every time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So always try to match the drapes with the curtains,
Yeah.
the brick on the brick, right? Same with emails and voicemails. Introduce yourself, say your company name, right? And then, 10 seconds to make value,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The other thing I would recommend doing, Raji, is, forget just sending them, the email. Get their address and send them a handwritten card.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Be different.
Yeah.
Be completely different. Good gracious, we could have a whole class on sending cold emails.
Right.
Because everybody says the same thing. It's terrible. Nobody cares about you, your name, they want to know, how are you going to impact their lives? How are you going to help them get better at their job?
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. And that's another thing, like you mentioned here, is, as a new person, it is kind of hard to come up with these ideas. And that's why we do these things, so we can help you kind of think and start getting the wheel turning, because you might come up with something that, maybe Jared didn't come up with. So definitely get that logistics hat on. Don't be afraid to, make some scars for sure.
Yeah. The more calls you get, you're going to be better at call 10 than you were at 1. 100 than you were at 10, 1,000 than you were at 100. I don't know how many calls I've made in my lifetime, but it's been several. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So
got a good question too.
Let's see. Does eCarrier get a load tender rejections? Do eCarrier have hot zone map? Man, that'd be neat.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that access. Whew, that'd be entertaining information to have.
Yeah.
I do think that FreightWaves provides like a hot zone map of like tender rejects and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
You might check them out. FreightWaves is just a great, knowledgeable company that does some marketing. They do a lot of software stuff. So,
awesome.
Good stuff there. So let's keep the party going. Let's call another one. See if we can get some more information here. So we're calling Claymex. They're a distributor of brick.
And to add some feedback to, I don't want to mess your name up, but I'll call you Raj. Find a mentor, look up some YouTube videos. We got some pretty good videos on making cold calls and some tips. So there's places out there to kind of help you get more confident.
Yeah.
For sure.
And honestly, just put in eCarrierCheck.com, go to the demo and just put in your email address. We can reach out to you when you get that demo. Just respond back and say, hey, I recorded a cold call today. Can you take a look at this?
Yeah.
It takes us 30 seconds to say, here's what I would do different.
Right. And we don't judge. We want to help you,
Yeah.
And,
We don't care at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And I love to help. So
Yeah.
that's where we're at. I misspelled repetition, darn typos. You guys get me fired up about hitting the phones as soon as the video's over. Yeah,
Love
let's
that,
go.
Judy. Heck
Right?
yeah.
I love that. Let's go.
Heck yeah.
All right, let's call this one. Let's see where we go. 5955. Hey, this is Jared over at Nebraska Transport. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. How may I help you?
Well, I was hoping I got a couple trucks down in the area, and I was hoping I could talk to somebody that manages your freight.
Just a minute.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
She was really short,
Yeah.
but she's answering a lot of phone calls.
Good morning, Kenny.
Hey, this is Jared. Who's this?
Who's this?
Yeah, this is Jared Ross over at Nebraska Transport.
Okay.
What was your name? I didn't catch your name.
My name is Lucy. We're going to help you.
Well, Lucy, I got a couple of flatbeds and a step deck down in Southern Texas this next week, and I was trying to find a way out and figured I'd give you a call. How do you guys find your trucks to get out of the area?
I don't do that. I have trucks that load in Mexico and then they come across.
Okay. What about any distribution up into, the 48?
No, we don't do that.
Gotcha. So does everybody just pick up their own freight there?
We usually just deliver in the state of Texas.
Okay.
And we do have our own trucks that do that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But nothing outside of the state of Texas, huh?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, Lucy, you have a wonderful day. I appreciate your time.
You too.
And we'll talk later.
Have a good day.
All right. Take care. All right. So
I
tried to pry a little bit.
Yeah.
She was not in the prying mood.
I like though you didn't push it.
Right.
Yeah.
I could have kept going.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that I saw that she had freight going outside of Texas. But we didn't connect. I kind of stumbled on the asking for a name thing there.
Yeah.
If I was going to get better at that call, I probably would have just dove right in.
Right.
But I'm still a believer that people need to share their names.
Yeah.
They still need to ask them how they're doing. It's a human thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's no different than if I go to Dollar General and I'm ringing up my card. I've had multiple situations where I'm at a retail store and they don't even ask you how you're doing, what your name is, or anything like that. It's like,
here's your total.
We suck at communication anymore. As a society, we're terrible at it. So, I just figured I'd get to know her.
Yeah.
But
you're just trying to save the world.
At least if I can make somebody else's day, I'm okay with that.
That's fair.
All right, let's go. Let's flip flop. We're going up to Ohio and seeing what we can get accomplished out of there. Let's keep going.
Golden Brick Company.
Hey, this is Jared over in Nebraska. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's Friday. You know what I mean?
Yay.
Hey, I've got a couple flatbed guys running in that area. I was hoping I could talk to somebody that that manages your freight, how you move your freight.
Okay, one moment.
Thanks. She seemed nice. I should have asked her for who they were transferring me to, but that's okay.
Randy Heasley.
Is not available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone. Press the pound key to end recording.
Hey, Randy, this is Jared over at Nebraska Transport. I wanted to give you a call. I seem to be running through the Ohio market with a couple open deck guys, one flat, one step, and just wanted to see how you might be finding your trucks or moving your freight. If you could, give me a call back. The phone number is 308-631-2543. Thanks, and we'll talk later. A couple things when you're leaving your cell phone, by the way. I'm a big believer that if you can't write it as fast as you're saying it, you need to slow down.
Right. Yeah.
Think about it from the other guy that's actually answering his voicemails and he can't write it down and he has to repeat your message. Right. Nobody wants to repeat it. Slow down on your phone number.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that.
Let's see. Is there a way to find where the shippers are shipping freight? Yeah. We don't see everything. Okay. But when we get the data that we get, we show you where we saw it, right? And so is there a way to find it? Sure. We don't have the whole puzzle, but we've got the corners filled in. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that's a good question. I really like that about eCarrierCheck because, for instance, when I was looking through these brick companies, I wanted to make sure that I was, here's the 3 states that they're really good at. They've got a lot of freight, or a lot of trucking company relationships in these areas. They know they're not going to get double brokered. And so, that was where I decided to find those brick companies to make sure that they were going in the areas that they did. So that's a great question. Raj, that's what a great point of mentor. What am I looking for in a mentor? Could you elaborate on that? Like for an agent, the broker would mentor.
That's good.
As far as there's a lot of people out there that'll, evaluate what you're doing or help you with things. Personally, here's what I would do. Okay. When I'm looking for a mentor, when I'm looking for a coach, when I'm looking to kind of grow what I would like, I really try to be specific with what my needs are. Yeah. Let me give you an example. Sometimes in freight, as a freight broker, usually there are things that I was good at and there were things that I was bad at. I would try to make sure that I was taking whatever I was good at up to a 10. Mm-hmm. And so in some particular cases, Raji, if you're just wanting to get better at being a freight broker in cold calling, okay, not in sourcing, not in operations, it could be those things. Maybe those are things you want to work on. Then I would find a sales coach that has some logistics knowledge, right? You're going to pay a couple $100 for these guys each session. That's what I would do.
And
right?
yeah, I guess here's my 2 cents with that too. This is kind of an investment in yourself. Again, I'm going to come back to what's your why. And great point there. Call some of these mentors. We got a couple I can ramble off right now. Shaggy, Charles, Keith, you know what I mean? And you can call them individually and let them know what you want. Can they provide that for you? If they can, well, let's start talking, and you're gonna have to probably spend a little money, but I think it's a good investment.
I would agree. I wouldn't look at it as an expense. This is totally an investment in yourself. Right. You can never, ever take away the education, the experience, the knowledge that you gain from working with either going to school or taking a class or getting a mentor, things like that. So finding those people, if we had more time, maybe we'd do it, but we're a wonderful software company and we're just trying to provide as much value as we can. Mm-hmm. So,
and to be honest, the people I named off, like they always have their phones.
Oh yeah.
Shaggy's like 24/7. You call me.
Yeah. Just get weird.
Yeah.
So I love it. Well, let's keep going. I got 2 more calls. We got 42 minutes in. I feel good about keeping the show at under an hour here for you guys. I always feel like if we keep it over an hour, it's like a sermon where you're just waiting to see if the preacher's going to quit.
Yeah.
I remember my dad just sitting there 45 minutes into the sermon. He's like, and he's just staring at this. Yeah. I'm like, come on, Dad. I swear the restaurant you want to go to is going to be open. Yep. The other churches aren't going to get out late.
You got to be rush hour.
Geez Louise. So we'll keep there. Let's go Lee Brick. Next 2 are out in North Carolina. They've got some great relationships in North Carolina with some really specific types of carriers. So we'll see if we can get into some of those conversations. But let's call and see where this goes.
Yeah. Oh, I like that comment. I'm sorry I'm late, teacher. I missed the bus. Is that Shaggy? I don't know.
Probably.
I wish we could see our Facebook.
I wish we could see who they are too. That's funny.
Thanks for being here anyway.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys being on. If you have questions, bring the house. We love it. Here we go.
Good afternoon, Lee Brick. Marianne speaking.
Hey, Marianne. This is Jared over at Nebraska Transport. How are you?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
This is Jared over at Nebraska Transport. How's it going?
Okay.
Hey, I was hoping I could talk to somebody. I got a couple open deck guys down in North Carolina this next week, and I was hoping I could talk to somebody that's managing your freight.
Okay, we have our own driver, sir.
Okay. Hey, do you ever have anything that maybe goes outside of his wheelhouse?
No, they if it does, they send their own trucks in to pick it up.
Ah, okay. It's a customer routed situation. Okay. Well, fair enough. Well, we seem to get down that way. Do you recommend anybody that, maybe a good shipper?
That I don't know. Sorry.
Well, I figured I'd ask. It's Friday and I'm sprightly. So.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful day and I appreciate your time.
You too. No problem. Bye.
Bye.
So they were customer routed.
Yeah. Customer routed. And I should have kept digging a little bit. She obviously wasn't a fan of trying to get, it's Brian. That's funny. So there's 3 different ways of freight movement. Okay. There's third party, right? Which is going to be where it's going from A to B, but a third party is paying that bill, right? Then there's prepaid, which means that the shipper is paying the freight and it's going to the receiver.
Okay.
We call them consignees, right?
Okay.
So those you want to find prepaid shippers. Okay. Then there's collect. And collect is going to be something like this lady just said, it's customer pickup. You know what? Hey, we'll sell you the brick. We don't want to mess with the trucking. You figure it out.
Gotcha.
Now, if I could find those people, sign me up, right? Collect shippers. It's hard to get into. There's not a lot of opportunity unless you can get into raw material inbound, right? Now, we definitely would have had to get or take a different approach to that lady. If I was going to call her back, and I don't know if I will, but if I was going to, just because I'm like, God, I get trucks there. I've got some great relationships there. Here's how I'd switch that up. I would call her back. Marianne was her name. And I would say, hey, Marianne, this is Jared over at Nebraska. Hey, I was hoping I could talk to somebody in material and procurement because I'm getting trucks into North Carolina. I'd like to see if we can bring something into you. They have to make that material somehow.
Exactly.
When you get into the weird procurement, material management stuff, a lot of the time those shippers are prepaid. Mm-hmm. And so now you're chasing this weird squirrel. This is why I'm saying I don't know if I'd follow up with them personally. I'd probably scrap them and keep going. Right? Okay. There's more people to get.
For sure.
Just my thoughts.
Yeah. So and, I kind of like how you said, is there anyone that she could think of that's a shipper up in that area? Maybe she had a good idea. Maybe she could have had a good lead, but
may as well see where she's going to take the conversation.
First thing she's going to say is no.
Yeah, she definitely wasn't.
And she's not going to remember you.
No, not at all. All right, last one. Let's see where this goes. Out in North Carolina, hopefully we get an opportunity here. The other thing that you might do, it'd be kind of interesting to do. I've never done this in eCarrierCheck. We look up the word contractor and just start calling them and saying, hey, we help a lot of contractors with job site material and would love to see if I can help you bring material in so that you can use it for your jobs. Right.
Yeah.
Now there's some huge contractors, right? There's some big people that they're moving, a lot of stuff. That could be a way of going about that sale too.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting search.
So that would be an interesting. We should try it. All right, 872-4123. Here we go. Statesville Brick.
Thank you for calling Statesville Brick Company. Please listen carefully as our menu options have recently changed. If you know your party's extension, dial 4 now. For sales and delivery, dial 1. For all accounting departments, dial 2. If you're a Statesville Brick Company employee and need to speak to a supervisor, dial 3. For all other calls, dial 4. To reach an attendant, dial 0. To repeat this menu, dial 5.
Let's try 0. Let's see where this goes. By the way, that guy's voice is epic. Very deep. Holy cow.
Please hold a moment.
You never know. Sometimes.
Statesville Brick.
Hey, this is Jared over at Nebraska Transport. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I got a couple trucks down in that area. I got a flatbed and a step deck next week, and I was hoping I could talk to somebody that manages your freight.
We don't handle that here. All our outbound is customer routed.
Shoot.
So there is a list of all our distributors on our website. You could reach out to some of them.
Really? Okay. All right. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. What was your name? Susan, I hope you have the greatest Friday in the entire world.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Thanks, Susan. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So she kind of answered your question there.
Boom. I love that.
Yeah.
Now I can get on their website and just look up all their distributors, and I got another whole leads list.
Heck yeah.
You know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah.
That was awesome. So I was customer routed. That's too bad.
Yeah.
But, we learned something. We found out that they are listing their distributors.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And Victoria, yes, this will be saved. Every time we go live, you'll see it on our YouTube channel for sure. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Outside of that, those are the 6 calls today. I really want to just go back and repeat the one message, because not everyone was on. It really is hard to change a habit if you haven't addressed the beliefs of what you're doing. Positive self-talk is everything when it comes to this. Yeah. And if we can leave on just that high note, is I really want to make sure, yes, I know you're new. Yes, I know that you maybe not, you don't feel like you're doing a good job. Change your mindset that you're servicing people, they need your help, and just start to, you know what, be kind to yourself for the love of God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just give yourself more credit. You picked up the phone, you made some calls. How can I get better? I'm going to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Always have that mentality of getting better. And I think it'll serve you well. So,
Yeah, well put.
Nate, close us out. You know, how do people get a hold of us? You know, give us just a rundown, will you?
Yeah, obviously everyone here today, thank you. You obviously know we're here to help you. Give us a call, send us your voicemails, emails, whatever. Just check out eCarrierCheck.com, schedule a demo to see, how Jared found these leads. And I'd love to talk to you about how, we can help you grow your business. So we're always here Monday through Friday. Give us a call. We want to help you.
Absolutely. Guys, have a great Friday. Volt, I see your messages coming in. Keep watching our videos. You'll start to build confidence. You'll start to see how I say it and what you do. We've got a lot of different good videos out there. And definitely just check out a demo. You'll see how our software can help grow your confidence, in my opinion. So, guys, have an awesome day.